Hi, everybody. Now let's take a look at pure Cloud Block Store in action on Azure. And I want to start by pointing out the entry in the Azure Marketplace. So not only can you learn more about pure Cloud Block Store here, but you can go ahead and deploy it in your Azure subscription. And this is one of multiple ways you can do so. We're going to switch over and take a look at my portal here, which offers me another way to go ahead and deploy Cloud Block Store in my environment. I can go ahead to product deployment and then um, go ahead and initiate an instance of Cloud Block Store in my subscription. Now you will need a license key for this, so talk to your Pure SE, your Pure account manager to see if you're licensed already or if you need to acquire a license. But it's as simple as point and click. And what you end up with after the fact, in my very, very busy Azure portal environment, sorry about that, you will see that everything we've got here for our demo is in a single resource group. A resource group, for those who are unfamiliar with Azure, is a way to organize your resources. And what is a resource? Well, Pure Cloud Block Store is deployed as a managed application. So everything that lives under the covers, the VMs, the disks, the key vault that has your encryption keys, all of the things that make up your Cloud Block Store deployment are found here within this single resource. So you can see here are my interfaces, my iSCSI interfaces, my management interfaces, the VMs behind the covers, the disks. Everything is packaged up in this one nice bundle for you. And Pure can help you support this as a managed application through just-in-time access. So it's a really secure implementation. Pure has done a fantastic job of building something that is fully Azure native in their offering. And to contrast that, the VMs that I'm going to be using here through the demo, you can see there's a number of different resources here that make those up. There's the virtual machine itself. There's the public IP address that I use to access this through either RDP or SSH. I've got a little bit of both going on here. The underlying disks, the network adapters, all of these things are resources. And this is what Pure bundles up for me in the managed application. So I don't have to keep an eye on all of that. I don't have to worry about that and manage that. It's all done for me in a really, really nice, secure coupled package. Now, from there, we're going to be using a couple of different tools here. I'm choosing Cirrus Data Galaxy for the data migration from my existing Azure disk to a volume that is going to be attached to my Pure Cloud Block Store instance. And I've already got a VM up that we're going to use and going to deploy a net new Pure volume to it, and then migrate my data from that existing Azure disk to the Pure Cloud Block Store volume. But that's not as much fun as deploying net new. Let me show you how this process works here with Cirrus Galaxy. I'm going to go ahead and copy that curl command to download and install their package. I've got multiple VMs. This is a brand new Ubuntu image that I deployed. And there it is. So now we've got our second VM registered, and we can go ahead and use this tool to migrate any data that we have on existing Azure disks to Pure volumes. But I've got one set up already. I've got a couple of disks provisioned to it. So we'll use that one for our demo. I do want to show you a cool thing that the team did here with Cirrus Data Galaxy. We're going to go ahead and select our VM. We want to go ahead and choose to migrate one of our data disks here. Let's choose this one, my 4 gig disk that I have. That's a premium disk. And this is going to be a local migration, meaning I'm going to migrate to a disk on the server already, as opposed to a disk on another server. That's a great data center or data center to cloud migration solution. We're going to go ahead and do the local. And our source disk, the one we want to migrate from, will be this one right here. And we don't have an eligible disk. We don't have a disk of the right size. So something really cool we can do with Cirrus is we can auto allocate a brand new disk. And I can choose Cloud Block Store. So I'm going to put in my management IP address, And for my CBS deployment, that is that address right there. Now the user token, I went into the pure CBS instance before into the user interface. I copied that out. I'm going to put that in. That is going to go ahead and connect. It says, hey, great. I see your flash array there, your CBS instance running 614 of purity. Perfect. Let's continue. And really, really cool here, I can have it do everything for me. It can install the iSCSI initiator software if it's not there. It can connect that to my CBS instance. It can configure DM multipath for me, get everything ready to go. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to configure the host for us. You can see all the action that's going on here in the background, all of the software that's being installed. Again, a little paint drying, so we'll come back to this in a second. And there we go. Within a few seconds, we are ready to go. We're connected to our Pure array. We have multipath configured with Pure's best practices, and Cirrus did that all for me. So let's go ahead and continue. We want to allocate a net new disk on Pure, a volume on Pure that's going to be the same size as our source. Yep, we'll say go ahead and allocate. And now that all of that prep work was done, look at how fast that is. I've got a brand new 4 gig volume attached to the host. So here we go. We're going to migrate from our original Azure disk to our multi-pathed Pure volume. And I have some great options here with Cirrus. I can go ahead and make sure that I minimize the impact to the host. So at no time will the I/O from me reading the changed blocks from that original disk and then writing them to my net new pure volume will impact the host. Or if I happen to be doing this during a change window when I'm not going to be impacting any end users that are leveraging the application on that disk, I can go ahead and choose relentless, which will squeeze every last megabyte per second worth of throughput out of the source and the target to get this done as quickly as possible. Let's dial that back a little bit here. And we're going to go ahead and create that session, and that will immediately start copying that data. And you can see my progress meter here. So that's moving along really quickly, copying that 4 gigabyte volume. And I can do some really cool stuff here. I can go in and get some more details about that by taking a look at my changed block map. This shows me in real time what needs to be copied and what has been copied. And you'll see that if I make changes as I go along, these blocks will actually change to dirty again, and I'll have to perform a resynchronize. So that was wicked fast. We are done. We've got that 4 gig ready to go on our new CBS volume. And from there, I can go ahead and perform my cutover. And a really cool thing that Cirrus does with Galaxy is their C-motion technology lets me do this without disrupting I/O, without performing an unmount mount. What they're doing under the covers is redirecting the I/O to my new volume. So if I originally had a premium disk, for example, and Pure, which in my case is leveraging Ultra disks, is going to be able to perform faster than that from an IOs per second perspective and likely from a throughput perspective, depending on the size of the underlying disks that are chosen, both at the source size and the target side. And then what I can do is seamlessly switch over so that now my master, my new source, is going to be my DM multipath connected CBS volume. One really additional cool thing that this allows me to do is to revert back at any time. So if I was performing a test, I wasn't quite ready to do the actual cutover, I can go ahead and change back. In the meantime, I can continue operating off of that new pure volume and then perform my cleanup when I'm ready. My cleanup, which is removing the original volume and then mounting my new pure volume back to the host as as the live file system mount can be performed in a controlled fashion. And I'm going to do that by choosing to finalize the cutover. And that will give me some choices here and some options that will allow me to do that and remind me to unmount the original volume. So I can go ahead and deallocate that, and I can stop paying for that in Azure. So really, really cool capabilities that Cirrus brings to the table. Where this is really helpful is it gives you a way to move from heterogeneous source to target. So in my case, moving from an Azure disk to a pure volume means that I can't use flash array replication to do that. Now, if you're moving from on-premises to CBS in Azure, you may be able to use pure flash array replication to perform this activity. But if you're moving from unlike systems, let's say VMware on premises to Azure VMs, or from some other storage platform to pure CBS in Azure, that's where Cirrus can really help. Gives you some cool capabilities, additional flexibility, and things that you would normally have to do through a volume manager in a server. It makes that all that much easier. And I can see this activity that happened while we were doing this on my Pure in my Pure console here. Really cool stuff. So I've got historical records for the activity writing to that volume. And going ahead and moving this data from a native Azure disk to a CBS volume. I mean, really, for those of you who are familiar with Pure, which at the Accelerate conference you sure would be, but for folks who are watching this after the fact, this was ridiculously easy to set up and get running, and gives me some powerful capabilities that I can add to my Azure infrastructure. I have all of my volumes available to me in one interface here. I've got some great performance reporting and analytics capabilities. I have replication to replicate these pure volumes between CBS instances in different Azure regions. And Pure is going to give me the capability to replicate only the actual data and to replicate the deduplicated and thin provision data that CBS makes it possible for me to leverage in an Azure VM environment. So Pure takes what we bring to the table in our native Azure disk storage and enhances it and adds enterprise class SAN capabilities with things like that data reduction, deduplication, compression, thin provisioning, sophisticated snapshots. So I can take non-disruptive snapshots and then create multiple copies of those snapshots for an enhanced DevOps pipeline. And then just holistic management of not only my array, my virtual array sitting here in Azure, but my arrays on premises and in Azure to give me really comprehensive hybrid storage management. So easy to deploy, easy to manage, and with our joint partner, Cirrus Data, easy to migrate between disparate storage platforms, both on premises and within Azure, native and partner storage offerings like the best of breed Pure Storage Cloud Block Store. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to walk through this demo with me, this experience that showcases the best that Pure brings to the table, along with our friends at Cirrus Data, and brings sophisticated capabilities to make Azure even better. Thank you.